Hello, I'm Carl Rowland with Sherline Products. In this video, we're going to show you how to assemble and use our new 3552 Sherline MB Vise Fixture. There are three main parts to our vise fixture. Part number 35520 is our movable bottom plate. 35521 is our fixed bottom plate. And 35522 is our top jaw. The top jaw is designed to work with both base plates. We're going to assemble the fixed base plate assembly first, since that will be located on your vise, and once you put it together, it pretty much stays together. You don't take it apart unless you're swapping out your top jaw with our 35535. Okay, so for starts, the top jaw is hard anodized. The bottom plates are both just regular anodized, so you have a difference in material hardness. Okay, on the fixed jaw, the top jaw mounts to this and it stays mounted. On the movable jaw, this is what's actually going to be your clamping force, and this jaw will actually move back and forth to clamp and unclamp your part. So the other part of this are 82-degree screws. So we recommend that you put a dab of grease in the center of your fixed jaw and in the center of your movable bottom plates, so that you have less friction when these parts are moving against each other. Also smear a little bit on the 82-degree surface of the clamping screw and on the threads, so assembling and disassembling is smooth. Okay, so for the fixed jaw assembly, the first thing we're going to do is put in our T-nuts and screws. This fixture is designed to mount directly onto the T-slots on either our mill table or our tooling plate. Okay, the distance between centers is 1.5 inches on both of them. So that was a primary concern with our design, is we wanted to actually make it so that the vise could be as large or as small as the table will allow, okay, which makes this very versatile. So for starts, we put our 1032 screw into the hole right here, and your T-nut, and you just thread it on a couple turns. To use this and to assemble it, you just need 3 30-seconds, a 5 30-seconds, and a 7 30-seconds Allen wrench, and that'll take care of everything on this fixture. So I'm going to put it in, and I'm just going to go in a couple turns. It's got to stay loose so we can get it on the T-slots. When this is fully assembled, the top of the screws are below the top surface of the fixed bottom plate. All right, we're going to take our super lube grease, which is part number 7550, and we're just going to put a dot of this right in the center. And I'm also going to smear some onto the head of each of these 82-degree screws. And it takes very little. This is just enough to make sure that everything moves nice and smooth and makes assembly and disassembly easier. Again, it's just a little dab. All right. All right, okay, the way this top jaw is designed to work with the fixed jaw has a step right here in the back. The top jaw goes on with the insert slot away from the step. Make sure that both surfaces are clean. You put it together, put one on top of each other, and then you take your 82-degree screws and you insert them in. Okay, Now the way this is designed is there's a slot that the screw goes through and an 82-degree countersink. On the fixed jaw, when you tighten down your 82-degree screws and just get them to where they're both touching first, so that when you clamp them down, it clamps evenly. Okay. So when you clamp these screws down, it locates on the countersink only, not the slot. And what it does is it pulls the top jaw down and against the lip on the back of the fixed jaw. Okay? So what I'm going to do right now is tighten these down good and tight. Right there. And now that assembly is locked in and it's not going anywhere. Okay? The next thing I'm going to do, I left adequate space for my T-nuts, is I'm going to align my T-nuts with these two slots, right, two T-slots, and I'm going to mount my fixed jaw onto the tooling plate and position it where I want it. Okay, so I'm going to have my fixed jaw right about here. Okay. The design is also set up so that you have an access hole through the top jaw to the T-nut screws, so that once you have it in place, you can tighten it down or loosen it and move it without taking this whole thing apart. Okay, so before we tighten this down, what we want to do, well, we'll just leave it like that for now. Okay, the next thing I want to do is put my my clamping inserts in here. So we have two styles of clamping inserts. This style is our 35524. This is made by Saunders. This has a serrated edge and it has a smooth edge, and this fits in the entire length of the slot, the insert slot on the fixed jaw. All right, if I'm clamping rough material, I'm going to use the serrated. If I've already machined out the entire top of my part and I turn it over and I want to clamp it again, I don't want to have serration marks on my finished surface. So in that case, we would take this out and just turn it around and have the finished surface facing towards our part. This is the same width as our jaw, our top jaw. So this is the equivalent of having a 4-inch vise on your machine. So we're going to insert the clamping insert in with a serrated edge going towards our part. It just has these 4 screws, a 3/32 Allen wrench to tighten them down. I always go just snug on all of them first. Okay, all right, then you want to actually push the jaw insert back while you're tightening it down so it locates against the back of the slot. There is a couple thousandths clearance between the slot diameter and the diameter of the jaw insert. Once I get this one tightened, and then I can take my thumb off of it and just tighten them all down good and snug. Again, this is a 3/32 a wrench, so it doesn't take a whole lot of force to hold this in place. Just snug is good. It's not going to go anywhere. And you don't want to strip out the 3/32 on your screws. Okay, so that insert's in place right now. So the next thing we would do is indicate this jaw in square. If your table has already been indicated in square, your tooling plate has already been indicated in square, then you can use 2 3/8 socket head cap screws and put them in aligned holes. Push your fixed jaw up against them. And then what you want to do is just tighten one of these screws. So I usually tighten the back one. And as far as tightening these, the T-nut right there, it's about a quarter turn past when you actually make contact is all the force you need on the T-nuts, okay? So right now, this guy should be pretty close to square. Another way you can do it is with a machinist square or a combination square and just locate it on the front or back edge of your part, and that will get you in the ballpark also. To save time, I've already mounted an indicator and I've got it zeroed out on the same side that we tightened the T-nut on. Now we just move it across to see how square we are. And we must have indicated our tooling plate in pretty good because this guy is 0 on the back side and 0 on the front side. So that's nice and square. If it was off, whichever side was lower, I would just tighten it. Like right now, if this side was lower, this is already loose, I would just come in here and just tap the back of it. This makes for an excellent dead blow type small hammer. Tap it until it zeroes out on both ends, which now it is. And once it's zeroed, then I come in and tighten both of them down again. That one's already tight, and this one will go just a hair more. So that guy's locked in. You can either remove these screws, or you can leave them there. Right now they're just added an extra stop that's on your machine. So that takes care of your fixed jaw. It's mounted where I want it, and now we'll move on to the movable jaw assembly. Now we're going to go over the movable jaw assembly. So I've already put the T-nuts in here and the screws. I put a dab of grease right there in the center of my movable base plate. The top of that surface is nice and clean. The bottom of this top jaw is nice and clean. You've got the two 3/8 24 holes and you have the two T-nut holes. The T-nut holes go toward the fixed jaw, not this way, this way, so that the T-nut pressure is directly or closer to where your actual inserts are. And then your top plate mounts on with the insert slot on the same side as the 1032s. So you make sure that this guy's clean, that guy's clean, and you put it on. If you put it on correctly, when you put the screws in, and tighten it down, it'll be like this. If you have this assembled backwards, then when you put it on, it's going to be offset like that, which is incorrect. So, slot, 1032 screws, goes together that way. There's also grease on my screws. So right now, with it like this, I'm just going to bring these down until they're snug, and they will square the top jaw up on the bottom jaw. So you can see I'm pretty much dialed in right there. So now I'm going to take my T-nuts, align them with the T-slots, and slide this on to where I want it. Okay, now this guy can move to wherever I want it. We can either go with a match pair of these jaws, okay? Or you can mix and match. These are the part number 35526. These are serrated on both sides. There's not a smooth and serrated. Okay. But these can locate any one of 4 places on your jaw slot on your movable jaw. So I'm going to use these just to show the difference. And I'm going to put them on the outside 2 positions. Both of these jaw inserts work using the same principle for clamping. The key difference, other than serrated and smooth and serrated and serrated, is how high they stick up above your part locating step here. So I'm going to thread these guys down, screw these guys down. Okay, once they're in place, we'll tighten them up, just like we did with the other jaw inserts. So they're nice and tight. Okay, the difference is your height. The height from the top of this insert to the part locating step on your jaw is about 170. Okay, the height on the Mighty Bites is about 62 thousandths. So you can actually machine down closer to the top of your jaw with this insert than you can with this one. So it's all a matter of preference, what you want to use. You know, you can, like I said, mix and match, or use, you know, two of the Mighty Bites over here, you know, a set of Mighty Bites, a set of Saunders. Once the jaw inserts are in place and screwed down on the movable jaw, what I want to do is tighten the two 82-degree clamping screws, and you just want to go snug with each of them. Okay, and that locates this chop jaw dead centered on the movable bottom plate. Okay, so now with it in this assembly set right here, what I want to do is put my material in and set it on both of the locating areas of the jaw and move my movable jaw all the way in. So this is where we're set for how far they're going to be apart. So now we're going to get into how to lock the movable jaw in and adjust it so that it clamps and unclamps the part. Okay? All right. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring the T-slot screws down. They're not even finger tight, I'm just right there. It's just enough to keep it from being too sloppy. What I want to do now is I want to take each of these screws that are already down all the way, and I just want to back them off one full revolution. So my Allen wrench is here. I'm going to go one full revolution on this screw, and I'm going to go one full revolution on the back screw. So right now I've got some playroom. What I'm doing is I'm pushing the bottom plate in and out to show you how much it's going to move. So now what I'm going to do in order to get my clamping force is my part's located against the fixed jaw. The top plate has got it located against the other side of the part. I'm going to put some pressure down on the plate, and I'm just going to push my bottom plate in towards the part. So that's it right there. Now with it in position there, now what I'm going to do is tighten the T-nuts down, and that locks the bottom plate in that position. Okay. So again, it's about a quarter turn past contact for your T-nuts. There we go. So those guys are in place right there. So right now, the bottom plate will not move at all. The top plate, if I go out another half a turn, I now have enough room to pull the top jaw back away to load and unload my part. That's about half a turn. So now when I bring these guys in, the clamping force, something that you need to understand, the amount of force that these inserts can exert on the part is up to 600 foot-pounds of pressure. The amount of force that a 3/8 24 screw can exert far exceeds the 1032 screw that's connected to the T-nuts, and also it far exceeds the pressure that a T-nut can withstand. if you torque these guys down, over torque them, you're going to break your T-nuts. It's just going to go south. So you don't need to torque these guys up to 600 foot-pounds in order to hold your part. So with each of these screws, up against the part, with each of these screws, that's just making contact there. And this one is just making contact. You only need to go about a quarter turn to a half turn to clamp this part. So I've got my Allen wrench out. I'm gonna go about a quarter turn. Got this Allen wrench out. The insert's making contact already. A quarter turn. That's all you need to locate this guy. I could literally lift this entire machine up if I had an eye bolt in here by this part. That's how much clamping pressure you have on this part right now, okay? If it's still, you want a little bit tighter, you can go a bit more. I would not exceed a half a turn, or T-nuts are gonna break, or something else is gonna give, all right? So use the amount of torque you need on these screws to hold your part, and don't overdo it. And another note on this while we're talking about the torque, with this vise fixture mounted to the tooling plate, my part could be as thick as I want and as long as I want. And when I torque my two clamping screws down, okay, it's not gonna have any ill effect on my tooling plate. Okay, with this same setup on our mill table, the mill table, if this part's actually thicker than our mill table, which could very well be the case, okay, and you've got it more than 4 inches between centers, if you really reef down on your clamping screws here, this is going to be the thicker part, which makes my mill table the weaker part. It will literally start to bow the mill table. Okay, so if you clamp a part and then you go over to turn your hand wheel, and the hand wheel is struggling to move the table, then you're starting to bow the table on your part, on your mill. Okay, so again, from contact point, when the screw's in there and it's got contact with the side of the countersink and your insert is against the part, from that point, a quarter turn on each of your screws should be ample clamping force for any part that you put in here. Show you the adjustable stop that we have for our fixed jaw. This is our adjustable stop. You've got a screw, 1032 screw with a locking nut on it, so you can adjust in and out to locate on your part. It also has a pivot screw down at the bottom, so you can adjust up and down. It's designed so that the stop is as close to the step and the fixed jaw as possible. If you load your part in, you adjust your stop, you lock it in place, and now you can load and reload parts, and they will locate on the fixed jaw and the stop, the same place every time you load it. Okay, it's also designed so that you can pivot your stop up and down and get it low enough so that the top of your stop is below the top surface of your vise clamp. And that way, if you're machining all the way around your part, you're still not going to hit the stop. It's low enough so that it'll clear your end mill. So with that in there, stock up against the stop. Again, bring your 2 screws down until they show some resistance. That means your inserts are up against the part. Hold it down, and then a quarter turn. And your stock is in place up against the fixed jaw and the stop and ready to go. We have 4 deep pocket access holes to our T-nuts. And that's so that we can adjust these without taking the whole thing apart. One problem is that these access holes, chips will get in here, and then you can't get your Allen wrench into it to take it apart. If chips get into the tops here, you can blow them off. You can blow that off to a certain extent. We actually had designed some plugs for these, but for one, if you're machining around the top of this and you get real close, you end up machining the top of the plugs off. So the easiest solution is take a cotton ball or Q-tip, pull off a piece, and just stuff a piece of cotton in there. And leave it close to the top. Okay. And then when you're done, okay, you want to move it, you just pull your cotton pieces out of here. You can use your 3/32 and get your cotton out of there. So very cheap, very easy. You can't machine it off. So that's our solution for keeping chips out of your 4 access slots for your T-nuts. So right now this guy's ready to machine. Okay, we put an end mill in here and we can start cutting on this guy. So this setup, these inserts and the way the jaws are set up right now is set up for holding squarish, rectangular shaped material. The next part of the video, we're going to show you our 35535 top jaws, which take round inserts so you can hold round or odd shaped parts.